Hello everyone, welcome back to the Jukebox. My name is Doni, and today we're going to be recapping this year's edition of the Grammy Awards. The 2023 ceremony just went down a few days ago, and as is the case every year, we definitely have a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to those who checked out last week's video where I went over my predictions for this year's Grammys. We hit a channel record in about 3 days with that video, so thank you so much for the support on that one, and definitely stay tuned for what we have coming up for the rest of 2023 if you're a new subscriber. But anyways, back to business. I'm going to be going over how the night went, more specifically how I did with my predictions. Now, I won't be going over every category, but mainly the general ones I called in the last video, and a few of the genre-specific groups as well. Spoiler alert, unfortunately, I wasn't as good with my predictions in all the categories as last year, but to make up for that, I'll probably give you guys a few of my favorite performances on the night a bit later. If you want to skip ahead to specific genres and categories throughout the video, you can find the timestamps below, but we have a ton of moments and award winners to get through in this one, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the first few categories I predicted on the night. Now, if you follow me on either of my social pages, you might have seen my predictions for the genre-specific categories throughout the week leading up to Sunday. And thankfully, we're starting off my predictions with a clean sweep, as I got all 4 categories correct on the night. Kendrick Lamar took home 3 out of the 4 awards up for grabs, and out of these nominees, I didn't think there was much competition for him, honestly. I think the Recording Academy got these ones spot on, so I can't be mad, but at the same time, in my opinion, there were way better hip-hop records that dropped last year that would have given Kendrick a run for his money. And Future took home his 2nd career Grammy win in the Best Melodic Rap Performance category this year, alongside Drake and Tems, and this is another deserved winner in my opinion. So predictions wise, this was definitely a spot on group for me. Unfortunately though, in terms of correct predictions, this was where my luck ran out. Now, I don't know if I'm just that out of touch with pop music these days, but I didn't get a single prediction right in this one, unfortunately. Best pop duo / group performance went to Sam Smith and Kim Petras with Unholy. I personally think the song is okay, and I can't be mad because I just wasn't really in the loop on how big of a song it was last year, but congrats to them. My long shot for best pop solo performance was Steve Lacy with Bad Habit, one of my personal favorite tracks from last year, but Adele took this one home with Easy on Me. And if I were really going with logic for this category, that probably would have been my choice. In fact, I had it right under Bad Habit on the graphic so people didn't think I was nuts, so maybe I'll give myself half a point on that one. And finally, best pop vocal album went to Harry Styles with Harry's House, and contrary to what I've been seeing from a lot of people, I thought Harry was a good pick for this category. Now, I had predicted for Adele to come out on top of this one, but Harry's House was a very close second for me. I went with Adele mainly because of her past successes at the Grammys over the years, but I feel like Harry Styles winning is a nice passing of the torch in a way. We will come back to this album later in the video though, but in terms of my predictions, this was getting concerning, and it was only getting started for me from here. But before we move on to the next general category, I gotta quickly mention the obvious historic moment that took place on the night. Beyonce took home her 32nd Grammy Award for Best Dance / Electronic Album with Renaissance, and I kinda had mixed feelings about this when they announced the winner, because while I do think Renaissance is a good album, I think some of the other artists who have been more consistent in the genre for a longer time should have been recognized, but in retrospect, I kinda see why the Academy gave this one to Beyonce, so congrats to her, and her GOAT status as a music icon has definitely been solidified in the books, whether you're a fan of hers or not. But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up with the winners in the general categories of this year's Grammy Awards, and I should probably retire from predicting after this one. Okay, I'll be straight up. I had never heard this song, and I don't think I'd ever heard the name Bonnie Raitt outside of the nominations before Sunday. But after listening to the track, I think from a songwriting perspective, it's definitely well structured and sounds good, has a really sweet message along with it as well. Typically, in my opinion, this award doesn't always go to the best written song out of the nominations, but more so the best written hit song. And I had my reasons for predicting a toss-up between Beyonce, Adele, and Kendrick Lamar, but it's nice to see the Recording Academy giving props to the veteran songwriters still making great music in the industry these days. Unfortunately though, in terms of my predictions, it's an another miss for me. And we had another surprise in the Record of the Year category in my opinion, with Lizzo coming out on top of the win for About Damn Time. This is her 4th career Grammy win, and the fact that she was picked over the likes of Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, and Adele is definitely gonna be subject to a lot of Twitter fanbase warfare. I personally think hip-hop should have been recognized in either this category or the one before it, just based on the amount of quality rap albums and records that came out in 2022. But hey, that's just my opinion. Oh, and this was another wrong prediction for me too. Your boy was really struggling at this point, guys. My run of awful predictions seemed to never end, and once again I ended up wrong in this category too, but depending on how you look at it, I think this is a pretty deserved win for a lot of people. Now, given that the last 4 Best New Artist winners were all a mix of pop stars and rappers who had pretty solid years in the industry leading up to their wins, I had my money on either Anita or Lotto. However, I guess the Recording Academy was in the mood for switching things up this year, because jazz singer Samara Joy was the one who took home the award on the night. Now, I had mentioned Samara Joy in my predictions video not as a contender, but just as a name I heard around a bit that I thought was worth pointing out, but I genuinely would have never expected her to pull off a win in this category given all the star power and established names that she was up against here. Typically when moments like these go down though, especially when there wasn't anyone in particular I was rooting for, I think it's nice to see the Grammys recognize the underdogs, and now I really have to check out more of her music to see what I'm missing out on. So even though this is yet another category I predicted wrong, I think it's cool the award went to someone whose career could definitely have a big change after winning on Sunday. But hopefully my prediction skills will possibly make a comeback in the final category with Album of the Year. Yeah, that was a lie. I should really retire from doing this. But this was definitely the shock of the night for most people at this year's Grammy Awards, and if you clicked on this video hoping I would somehow have the answers for this, you probably have worse prediction luck than me. I was just as confused as everyone else when Harry's House was announced as the winner, because if you remember from my predictions video, the fact that I don't rate this album as high as Harry's last record just took it out of my personal contenders, and I wasn't even too shocked to see it win Best Pop Vocal Album. But compared to the other Album of the Year nominees, I thought the road would have definitely ended there for Harry Styles. But alas, the Recording Academy had other plans in mind. Now, I had predicted a face-off between 2 of 2022's biggest releases, Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and Beyonce's Renaissance. And especially since there was a lot of hype about Beyonce breaking the all-time record for the most Grammy wins in history, I'm pretty sure most people were expecting her to come out on top the most. But my guess is, I think the Grammys wanted some new blood as the face of this award. Now, don't get it twisted, Harry Styles has been famous for quite some time now, but in terms of his image as a solo artist, I think he's definitely in his prime right now, and he'll probably be in the spotlight for at least another decade or so in my opinion. That's just my guess, but looking back on the best album of 2022, I personally don't think Harry's House would even be near my top 20, but hey, those are just my honest reactions on the winners this year. I think I should just stick to discussing rap and hip-hop around here because those were the only categories I predicted right, unless we're counting that half point from earlier too. But let me know how you guys felt about this year's winners at the Grammys in the comments below. I know the Anita fans in last week's comments section are in shambles right now. My condolences to you guys. But there you have it. That was the 2023 Grammy Awards in a nutshell. In my opinion, I think the Grammys have been in a perpetual state of mid throughout the 2020s, and I think most times it stems from the nominations not being up to par with the great music we've gotten over the years. This year was pretty similar in that regard, but who knows, maybe next year things will be a bit different, and maybe I'll have some better predictions as well. But what were your thoughts on this year's edition of the Grammys? Let me know your opinions down in the comments, and feel free to share the video with anyone else who didn't watch it this year. And I totally forgot that we have a Super Bowl halftime show performance from Rihanna coming up this weekend, so definitely subscribe to the channel to catch my thoughts on that when it rolls around next week. You can also check us out on Instagram and Twitter for some more music content you might enjoy, and you can find the links to those in the description. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.